Welcome back to our series on probability theory. I'm Mark Ledbetter, and this is lecture video 6, and we're going to talk about section 1.3 in the book, which is conditional probability. So, up to this point, let's review what we've talked about. We've talked about a classical definition of probability for a discrete, finite sample space. We've talked about the multiplication principle for counting how many outcomes are in an experiment when it's made up of several parts. As far as counting, we've talked about ordered and unordered. So we've talked about ordered and unordered samples, where we've sampled without replacement or with replacement in both cases. So that's 4 different cases. Please note that your properties for combinations here. These are things you should know pretty readily. And I've provided you a table with a summary of these 4 situations for counting. So now we're ready to move into conditional probability. This is going to be section 1.3, and there's 2 major topics: conditional probability and the multiplication rule for probability, not for counting. Now, these are really the same thing, but we'll get to that in the next lecture. So for now, let's start with a simple example. We have 20 tulip bulbs. They're similar in appearance, so you can't tell which one's which. And we're told that 8 will bloom early, 12 will bloom late, 13 will be red, and 7 will be yellow. We're going to select one bulb at random, and we want to know what's the probability that it's red. Now, you may only be given this part of the question in words, and you would need to come up with the chart or table here. All right, so please make sure that you can do that. Now, I want to know, and I've given, by the way, a key here. I've put R is red, Y is yellow, E is early, L is late. You need to do that so that when you start using letters, whoever's reading it knows what you're trying to say. All right. So what's the probability that it's red? That's going to be the probability of R, and that's going to be the number of ways or times that R is going to occur, divided by the number of items in our sample space. Here our sample space is 20. This is going to be N of S because we have 20 total bulbs. And so the number that are red, that's 13. So this is going to be 13 divided by 20. That is my answer. Please don't change it to a decimal or try to reduce it. It doesn't reduce in this case unless I ask you to. All right. So let's say now that if you have a microscope or magnifying glass, that upon close examination, you can determine whether the bloom will be early or late. Now, what's the probability that a bulb is red given that it blooms early? This given means we're only considering those that will bloom early, okay? So we're limiting our consideration just to those that are early. So I'm going to circle early here. And now we're only looking at the early bulbs, and I want to know the probability of those that are red. So the notation is going to be R given E, the probability that it's red given that it's going to bloom early. This vertical bar in this situation is pronounced as given. Okay? And here we would just put the number of red given early divided by the number of early. So this is going to be 5 divided by 8. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, I wrote this wrong. Up here, this is R and. This is going to be the number of R and early, not given. All right. So it's 5/8. So we can just calculate the probabilities by limiting ourselves to the early situation. But we don't always have a table or a finite sample space, so we need to have a formal definition. So let's A and B be any events in sample space S, then the conditional probability of event A given B is calculated as the probability of A given B equals the probability of A and B divided by the probability of B. And here we can't divide by 0, so the probability of B has to be greater than 0 or positive. Now, let's look at what happens if we reverse this. If we say the probability of B given A, the numerator stays the same, because remember that we can change the order of the intersection and it gives us the same answer. But now, whatever is given, we divide by that total probability. Here, for the first one, the given, it's on the bottom. And here, the given is on the bottom. And now, A, the probability of A has to be positive. So in general, these two conditional probabilities are not the same. The only way they are the same is if the probability of A equals the probability of B. That's the only special case. So let's go back to our simple example, and now we want to use the formula for part B. So we've got the probability of red given E is going to be the probability of R and E divided by the probability of E. So I need to calculate the probability of R and E. Here's E, here's R, and the and is where these two overlap. So I want R and E, there's 5 of those out of 20 total. So that's my probability, 5 out of 20. And as far as the E's, there are 8 out of 20. And if you know your fractions, you know that you can just cancel these 20s here. But let me work it out longhand with the rules for fractions, dividing fractions, invert and multiply. And so they cancel, and we get 5/8, which is the exact same answer that we obtained up here, just limiting ourselves to E. So if we have a table, there's 2 different ways to do it. Now, the axioms of probability. A conditional probability is still a probability. So it must satisfy the axioms of probability, or it wouldn't be a probability. So now we can write, and I'm just going to change that. That is true, but what we're doing here is we want to look at this, that the probability of A given B is greater than or equal to 0. And the probability of B given B is equal to 1, because again, we're limiting ourselves to the event B. And A1, A2, mutually exclusive events, then the probability of A1 union with A2, etc., given B, are simply the sum of the individual probabilities. And even if we have an infinite number of subsets, the same occurs, just like it does for a regular probability. We can prove these. I don't want to go through the proof because they're so simple, and they're given in the book, and now they're given here. But please walk through these yourself and make sure that you understand. Again, if you don't, you feel free to contact me. If enough people are confused or need some help, if a few of you do, then I can make another video and post it to walk through this, or walk through it in person, of course, during office hours or some other scheduled time. All right. So let's look at a different example. Now, in this example, you have to be careful and know that I have given you 0.5 is just for this portion here, and 0.1 is for this portion over here. So this 0.5 is not the probability of A, it's the probability of actually A intersect B naught. The center part is A intersect B, and this right-hand side is B intersect A complement. So the probability of A is simply 0.5 plus 0.2 equals 0.7. The probability of B is going to be 0.2 plus 0.1 equals 0.3. The probability of A and B is simply 0.2. It's given. Now, let's look at the probability of A given B. In this case, you have to use the formula. There's not much of a way to get around using the formula. So we're going to write the probability of A and B divided by the probability of B, because in this case B is given. The probability of A and B is there as 0.2, and we figured out that probability of B is 0.7. And this reduces to 2/7. Okay? And that would be the answer I'd want as a fraction. But not 0.2 over 0.7. We don't do fractions like that, so please don't leave me an answer like that. Now, for this second one, the probability of B given A, that's still going to be the probability of A and B in the numerator, but now we have A is given, so it goes in the denominator, the probability of A. So we still have 0.2, but now A is, and I divided by the wrong one here. This is not 0.7, this is B, which is 0.3. I looked at the wrong one. So this is going to be 2/3. And this one is going to be 0.2 over 0.7, which is 2/7. So 2/3 is not equal to 2/7. Probability of A given B is not equal to the probability of B given A. All right. So I hope I've made that very clear now. So since it's a probability, the conditional probability is a probability, the same theorems hold as they do for regular probability. The complement rule, we have that. We have that if A1 is a subset of A2, then the probability of A1 given B is less than or equal to the probability of A2 given B. And all probabilities are less than or equal to 1, so the conditional probability is as well. And then we have an addition rule for the conditional probability for 2 events, and we also have it for 3 events. So a conditional probability is a probability, and it follows the same rules or theorems as regular probability. So our assignment for lecture is, again, you need to scan in your lecture notes by midnight. Please make them neat so both you and I can read them, and more importantly that you can read them so that when you're doing homework or studying for a test that you can read them easily. If you have questions, I encourage you to come to my virtual office hours, or you can email me if those office hours don't work. I'm always happy to help you. So until next time, think probability theory.